Today's the day. It's February 2nd, 2024, and it's the release date for the Apple Vision Pro. I have an appointment to go pick one up right now, so let's go. And here we have it. Honestly, the pickup process was really simple. I just had to show up at my appointment time, have them scan a QR code that they sent me in advance, and then just wait around for a few minutes until an employee came up to me. At that point, they give you two options. So you can either stay and do a live fitting and demo in store, which she told me takes about 20 to 25 minutes, basically meaning that you test it out in store, they show you how to use it, and you go through some of the spatial videos they have curated. Plus, they make sure that everything like the light seal and the headband fit properly, and if for whatever reason they don't, then you can have them exchanged in real time at the store, so you're only taking home the parts that actually fit you. Now keep in mind that when you're buying the Vision Pro, you actually do have to do two facial scans where it'll get the dimensions of your face and give you the appropriately sized pieces, but obviously you never know if it's going to fit properly until you actually put it on. So if you're picking it up in store, you do have the option to do it there, but if you're getting it delivered, or if you just pick it up and take it home and then need to exchange a part, you can always go into an Apple store and exchange parts that don't fit right. The whole process really only took a few minutes. She asked me if I wanted to do the setup in store, and I declined because I wanted to do the unboxing here at home and test everything out for the first time on camera. And with that being said, I guess it's time to open it up. I'm super excited, so let's get started. Now when you pick up the Vision Pro, you do get a little paper bag to take it home in, I guess so you're not flaunting it around on the street, but it is pretty obvious what it is. And on the first impression, this box is really big, so I'm very curious to see what it looks like on the inside. So as you can tell, this basically just looks like a regular Apple box. It's just very large, but it does still have the very sleek and minimal design. It's actually just one big box, just like an iPhone comes in. And it looks like there's a seal right here that I'll tear off to get it open. All right, let's dig into it. Okay, here we go. And here it is. Wow, this thing is crazy, and I honestly can't believe I'm holding it right now. First impression, this headband is super soft. For some reason I thought it would be more rigid, but it's very soft and it feels pretty comfortable. And it does look like it has a cover over the glass, which I didn't realize came with it, but that is nice because I guess that means the glass won't get scratched easily. It looks like you get a nice little booklet here that has all the information you need about how to set it up and even some care instructions, which is nice. And here on the bottom is that coveted polishing cloth. Wow, I can't believe I finally own one of the polishing cloths. Now under those two things, it looks like we have the dual loop band and the light seal cushion right here. And underneath that we have a battery, the charging cord, and a block, which I do appreciate that it comes with this since the phones and everything don't anymore, but for the price that this costs, I'm glad it includes a block. And it looks like this is the same knitted cable that came with my iPhone 15 Pro. Now let's see what this battery feels like. Okay, yeah, so honestly, this feels very high quality, which I guess I should have expected. And honestly, I would say this is about the same size as an iPhone-ish. It's definitely not as wide as the 15 Pro Max that I have. It's definitely heavier, but I think this would be easy to slip into a pocket and not really think about. Okay, let's get the box out of the way and take a closer look at the Vision Pro itself. Whoa. So yeah, I mean, this thing is definitely a beautiful looking machine. You can easily see the cameras on the front, which I didn't really expect. You can also see the little OLED display in there as well. So when it's off, I mean, it's definitely very sleek looking. I'm excited to see what this looks like turned on. Wow, okay, so this obviously is a very beautiful looking device. It's honestly kind of heavier than I expected, but it feels extremely high quality, which again, I guess you should expect for the price of it. The back headband is a lot softer than I imagined, which I do like, and same with the light seal here that actually touches your face, feels way softer than even the headband, which is definitely nice. And I did notice just while holding it that the magnetic attachment is extremely easy to use, so I mean, taking this off and putting it back on is very easy. I can also understand why it would include a polishing cloth just because, I mean, it already is getting some fingerprints. Even as soon as I took it out of the box, it already had some little bits and pieces on the glass. So I do like that they included the polishing cloth. And yeah, honestly, there's just so much to look at here. I'm super excited to try it out, but I'm just appreciating the design of it right now. So at the top right here, you have what looks like little vents, I guess, kind of like a PC fan. I don't know if that actually vents out any air, but otherwise I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras on the front and then 2 cameras here on the bottom. I do also see more venting here on the bottom. I'm also very curious to hear what the audio is gonna sound like because these speakers don't really look like much. It basically looks like they go right over your ear and then just shoot out audio from these 2 little black ports right here. So I'm very curious to see how good the audio is actually gonna sound on this. Honestly, I can also see how this would be very easy to drop. It's so lopsided as far as the weight goes. The back of it weighs basically nothing. All of the weight is right here in the front with the glass and the metal. So holding this definitely makes me want to hold on very tight because I'm afraid to drop it because I feel like it'd be pretty easy to do so. I do appreciate the little booklet that came with this as well because it has basically all the instructions, what comes in the box, and how to set it up for the first time. So that is going to be very helpful in trying this out because I don't really know where to start. Step 1 is to position the battery in a secure place close to you. Okay, so I've got the battery right here. The next step is to attach the power cable. Okay, so as far as plugging in the battery, it looks like it's just as simple as aligning this LED on the battery with the closed dot on the Vision Pro. So basically you line up the LED with the open dot with the cord facing upward, you push it in a little bit and then twist it to the closed dot. And that connection is very simple. It does look like I have some light illuminating as well, so it looks like we're working. Okay, so the next step is to actually put the Vision Pro on. The first thing it wants me to do is loosen the solo knit band by turning this dial right here counterclockwise. I guess that loosens it so you can put it on easier. And then it says to hold it with one hand and put it over the back of your head. Here we go. Okay, so with the Vision Pro on, you want to turn the dial again, but clockwise to tighten it until it's comfortable and you don't see any light coming in. I guess I'm going to put the battery in my pocket for now. And immediately I'm getting some very nice audio coming out. Honestly, it sounds really good. It basically sounds like bone-conducing headphones a little bit because I can hear my surroundings perfectly well, but I can also hear some very nice and calming tones playing through it as well. Now the first prompt that it's given me here is to press and hold the digital crown to align the lenses. So I'm going to do that. Whoa. Okay, that was crazy. I could actually see and feel the lenses closing in around my nose. Wow. Okay, so now I've got pass-through on. Oh, wow, this is crazy. Okay, so what I'm seeing right now is just my surroundings, everything that I'm used to seeing around my house. It looks a little bit hazy or grainy, I would say, but otherwise, I mean, there's basically no latency and I can see everything very well. Now, what I'm seeing right here off camera is pretty crazy. It's basically just like when you set up a new phone or iPad and it says hello across the screen, but it's all staying in place right there off camera. The next step, it's telling me to press the digital crown to begin. Wow, this is so crazy. I can actually see a big display right in front of me telling me to bring an iPhone or an iPad nearby to get it started, which I am going to do with my B-roll camera. Honestly, it's hard to describe, but basically I almost forgot that I was wearing the headset just now. With the way the pass-through works, it's very convincing and it's very easy to look around and basically just interact like normal. Okay, and just like that, it did detect the phone, so I guess we're gonna get started by setting up with the phone next. So it wants me to look right here with the Vision Pro.
Your eyes and hands are how you navigate Apple Vision Pro.
Okay, so now everything's gotten dark and I've got a little tutorial video playing right now.
To your eyes. Simply look at an element and tap your fingers together to select it.
Okay, so the next step it looks like is setting up my eyes and hands, I guess, so it can detect when I look at things and when I tap my fingers together. Look at your hands to set up. So it wants me to look at my hands like this. And just like that, I guess it's got my hands set up complete. So now it's got a dot right in the middle of the screen and wants me to look at it and tap my fingers together to select it. Whoa, okay, that worked just as you would expect it to. Wow. Now select all the dots around the circle. Okay, this is crazy. There are 6 dots in front of me right now, and it can actually detect when I'm looking at each of them. Just by moving my eyes and looking at each of them, they're making a little sound and showing a little interaction. So I'm gonna look at each of them and tap my fingers together to select. Next one, it looks like it's the same thing. It just wants me to select more dots to refine the setup. I should note that actually the surroundings around me have also gone dark, and this time it gone almost fully white while I'm doing this. Okay, so next it's asking me if I want to set up my persona for FaceTime and other calls.
To set up your persona, you'll remove Apple Vision Pro to capture your appearance. To start capturing, hold Apple Vision Pro at eye level.
Align your entire face within the frame. Move Vision Pro a little bit to the right.
Turn your head to the right, to the left, and tilt up and down. Then you'll capture your facial expressions. Smile with your mouth closed. Smile showing your teeth. Raise your eyebrows and close your eyes.
Capture complete. Put Vision Pro back on to continue.
Okay, so next it's setting up Optic ID so that it can learn my eyes to unlock the Vision Pro when I'm using it. And it's asking me to set up a passcode now as well. Okay, so a bit of a change of scenery. I'm sitting on the couch now, obviously. I did take some time to go through the Vision Pro, do a software update so that everything was working properly, and figure out how to do screen capturing so that you can see what I'm seeing. So now let's put it back on and we'll go through all of the major apps to get a first impression of what it's like. I did also notice that the Vision Pro is actually off when you're not using it, so if you take it off of your head, the screen is going to be black. It turns itself back on as soon as you put the headset back on. Okay, so I think the screen recording is on now, so hopefully you should be able to see what I see. Obviously, I've got myself right here on the camera. I've got my MacBook set up because I do want to test out using the MacBook with the Vision Pro. I have my B-roll camera right here, and otherwise I just want to show you kind of how it works. So for example, I've got these dark studio lights set up next to me, which is causing everything to look a lot darker than it actually is. If I look away from the studio lights, you can see that everything does look a little bit more normal. If I look back down at the studio lights, you can noticeably see that it darkens the area around me. So that is nice, at least for eye strain purposes. You don't have to worry about that. That being said, let's open up the home screen so you can see what I've been looking at. So as you can tell, I mean, that definitely looks like it's right there in front of me. It's honestly very crazy and hard to describe how real it looks. The elements that Apple's adding in front of me are definitely not as grainy as my surrounding area is, but either way, I mean, it blends in very well to the space that I'm in. So obviously this is the home page. You've got all of your built-in apps right here. If you want to look at the second page, again, it's as simple as tapping your fingers together and moving it to the next page. These gestures honestly are very hard to get used to. It's crazy how easy they are to use. Now this is your home page with all of your built-in apps. On the left side here you have a few other things where you can scroll between the apps, people, or environments. Now if you take notice of this, right now I'm looking at the word apps. Now I'm looking at the word people, and now I'm looking at the word environments. So without moving my head at all, it can tell what word I'm looking at so that you can select it by tapping. Now environments, it looks like is going to be more like immersion modes. So if you take a look at this one right here, I mean, wow, this is crazy. And you can actually control the level of immersion by just scrolling this wheel right here. So right now it's not fully immersed. As you can tell, there's a bit of a feather to it, and you can still see my real surroundings a little bit. But if I scroll this, it will send me to fully immersed. And it's just crazy to see this. Not only does it look like I'm actually in this environment, you can see my hands, but it also does play some audio as well. It sounds a little bit windy right now, which is just crazy because it adds even more to the immersion effect. And as you saw, there are other options too. So it's not just this one. There's a Yosemite one where you're gonna be fully immersed in a snowy mountain area. Let's see about this one. This one's Mount Hood. Oh wow, it even has effects on the water like it's raining. That looks really nice. And I can actually hear the rain right now. Now what's cool about this is that using this wheel, you can adjust not only the level of immersion, but also the volume of what you're listening to. And using that immersion level, you can actually have this turned on while you have your home page on. So instead of looking at your actual surroundings of the room that you're in, if you'd rather be immersed, at least partially in a mode, and then go through your apps, you can have it set just like a background on a computer screen and just use your Vision Pro as normal with that in the background. Now something that I have noticed that I haven't tried yet is it actually detects that my Mac is right here and it's asking me if I want to connect to it. So I want to try that out. Okay, yeah, and there's my Mac screen. So it looks like my actual MacBook is turned off right now on the screen. So it basically seems like it took that screen and put it right here onto a virtual display. And I'm gonna move this window. You look at the bar at the bottom right here, hold your fingers together, and you can place it wherever you want to. Closer, further away. I'm gonna put it right here with that background behind it. And wow, look at how big my Mac screen is. This would definitely be nice to pair up, especially if you have a little keyboard you can put on your lap, because it basically made my MacBook 10 times bigger than it used to be. And it looks like I can't really control this with the gestures, but I can use the trackpad on the Mac. Now, if you can't tell, this is actually pretty laggy. Not sure why that is. I wonder if changing the size of the screen will make a difference. You do that by looking down at the bottom corner and pinching it to be smaller. Okay, that works very well. And yeah, unfortunately, it looks like that is still pretty laggy. So, I mean, I guess that is a downside, at least right now. It might be because I'm recording audio, but either way, it looks like the display itself is pretty laggy on my MacBook. Now let's close this window. You do that by looking at the bottom there, tapping your fingers together. And let's see what else we can try here. I'm very curious about mindfulness, so let's go ahead and do that. Whoa, okay, so it's darkened my surroundings and it's asking me how long I want to go. Okay, it looks like it put me to be fully immersed now. And since I put it in the self-guided mode, it looks like it just kind of puts you in this relaxing atmosphere with, I don't even know what you would call that, in front of you. It looks very pretty, it sounds very nice, and I definitely can see how this could make meditation or just mindfulness in general a lot easier. Okay, so to end that, I just press the scroll wheel again. Okay, so to be honest, I have noticed already that there are some what I would call bugs, I guess, with the Vision Pro so far. Again, this is bound to happen with any new product that hasn't hit the mass market yet. So a few little things that I've noticed are that it doesn't necessarily always realize exactly where I'm looking, especially if I'm using something like the keyboard where the keys are pretty close together, and it doesn't always select the key that I'm trying to select. Otherwise, the only other negative I've run into so far is I am getting a bit of the nausea because I have a headache and I just feel a little bit nauseous. So again, that is bound to happen with any VR headset, especially if you're using it for the first time, which again, in my case, I've never used any sort of VR headset ever before. Otherwise, I have also noticed that it does seem a little bit grainy on the pass-through. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest, but it is noticeably grainy, at least in the environment that I'm in, and that is something to consider. Otherwise, as you can tell, this is the home screen. If you want to access your control center, all you have to do is move your eyes and head up a little bit. And then you can see the little button right there. You'll use your finger tap to select that. And then from here, obviously you can do the control center things. You can adjust the volume. You can go through things like screen recording, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth settings. It's all gonna be up in the control center. Okay, so now we're in the Maps app, and yeah, this looks really good. Looks like you can scroll around the map and see everything just by using the gesture. And again, it's very intuitive. It knows exactly what you're looking at so that you can select and move everything around very easily. Okay, so otherwise, I did also want to show you guys what Siri looks like. Siri. And this one is honestly the craziest one that I've experienced yet, because this not only looks really nice, but it actually is a full sphere. So you can move around it, you can look at it, and this is actually the only thing so far that's made me want to reach out and try to touch something while using the Vision Pro. I love the way that this looks. And obviously you can use it to do commands or ask it for help, ask it to search things online, just like any normal Siri task. Okay, so right here we have the keyboard. This is also something that I've noticed is kind of hard to use because it's more of a hunt and peck just due to the nature of how it works. So right now, if I want to type something like YouTube, I have to look at each individual letter and select it. Now, for the most part, it does seem to work, especially if I move my head between the letters. If I just move my eyes, I have noticed that sometimes it'll grab the wrong letter, just like that. But for the most part, it does work. And I'm sure there's probably a learning curve here anyway, so once I get used to it, it might be a little bit easier to use. Otherwise though, if you do end up needing to use a keyboard, it just shows up right in front of you like this. Oh, wow, it does. I can't believe that. Okay, actually, I just discovered something that I didn't know was a feature. So if we go into this and pull up the keyboard, I was under the impression that you had to look at each letter and select it using the gesture. But just through intuition, I felt like this is something that I might be able to actually touch, and it looks like you actually can press different buttons. This is crazy. I did not know that this was a feature. Wow. And you don't have to have it up in the air in front of you. I just did that so you could see it easier. It actually is gonna pop up automatically closer to you, so it should be easier to use. Okay, and there's my channel. So yeah, I mean, it was very easy to use the keyboard. Now that I've discovered you can actually type on it with your fingers. And even though there's not a YouTube app, you should at least be able to use the Safari app like this to access YouTube. Let's take a look at the music app to see what that's like. Okay, yeah, so I'm really liking how the music app looks because it works just like it would on an iPhone or an iPad. And honestly, the audio sounds really, really good. I'm surprised because obviously there's nothing in my ears. I can hear everything very clearly, but also hear my surroundings very well too. Now let's check out one of these apps. We'll do Encounter Dinosaurs to see what this is like. This was pre-installed when I started up the Vision Pro, so I'm curious what it's going to be like. Creatures in this experience can see you and may react to you. What? Look at that, it looks like it placed itself right on the TV. And right here, there's a butterfly flying right next to us. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna get up and see what it's like actually getting immersed in this. Wow. Oh. Wow, this is crazy. This is just taking up the whole wall in my room. Ah. I ended up touching the wall. Oops. I like that the pass-through is showing me when there's obstacles in the way, but then once it shows me them, it goes away and I can still see the footage that I'm looking at. Wow, and this one's actually coming out of the screen. This looks very crazy. It's honestly kind of scary. Wow, this experience is honestly really crazy because not only is it taking up basically the whole wall in my living room, but as you could tell there, it could actually come out of the screen too. It came up right in front of me. It was honestly really crazy. It felt like it was actually there. It was kind of scaring me. Okay, so let me take this off and tell you a little bit about what my experience has been like thus far. Honestly, it's really, really impressive. I'm really enjoying using it. The gestures are very intuitive, and it's worked very, very well as far as actually moving windows around, resizing them, selecting things, actually reaching out and touching a keyboard to type. It all works very well. It's very intuitive, and you just kind of follow what it shows you, and it seems very customizable too in the way that you can move things around. So I've definitely enjoyed that. Again, the pass-through works very well. It was kind of grainy in my experience. I'm not sure if that's the standard, but that is something to note. But either way, there was basically no latency, so I didn't have any issues with walking around the house while wearing it, so that's definitely a plus. Otherwise, adjusting the strap on my head was extremely simple. Again, you just loosen it, put it on your head, and then turn it clockwise until it's fitting snug, and that's all you have to do. Now, I will say that I definitely have had a lot of strain on my eyes. It feels like I haven't been looking at a screen just because of the way that the pass-through works, but I guess since those screens have been so close to my eyes for so long, I'm feeling a lot of strain on them and my eyes are stinging right now. Not sure if that's something you'll get used to, but I would assume it would be, just like you would in the way of nausea. And on that point, I actually don't really feel nauseous at all right now. I was even walking around, fully immersing myself and doing all sorts of things with this test, and I'm not really feeling any of the seasickness or nausea, so that's definitely nice too. I will also say that I was very impressed by the audio. It sounded very good, which is impressive to me at least, because nothing was in or around my ears. So I definitely liked the audio, I like the video, and the buttons, the controls all worked very well. That all being said, obviously I'm gonna need some extended use on this thing to see if it's something that I would recommend buying or just to give a full review on. So that will be in the works, obviously, as of right now. First impression is that it's very well built, it feels high quality, and it works very well. There are some very minor bugs that I ran into. Really, the only major issues I ran into is the strain on my eyes and a little bit of nausea at first, but that is already starting to subside, so I don't think that's gonna be a big issue. Did you get a Vision Pro? And whether you did or not, what are your thoughts on it so far? I'd love to hear what you have to say, and thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.